Hello again. Day 4 of our Miyazaki trip. We decided that we wanted to go and see the sunrise at Aoshima Island, but we didn't know what time the sunrise was. And we didn't know how far it was from the campground to Aoshima Island because we had driven there with Monse. And we didn't know how far it was going to take us to walk there. So we decided that we would get up at 4 a.m. this morning, and we left the campground at 4:15, and we just decided to walk to Aoshima Island. Fortunately and unfortunately, it was such a clear night the night before, making it an awesome sunrise, but it also made it super duper cold. So ended up, we walked over to Aoshima Island, and it was not that far. It only took us 45 minutes to walk there. So we were there super early, still dark. It was also extremely windy. Reports later on when we checked them said it was between 33 miles an hour and 40 miles per hour wind gusts. So super cold, super windy. We found a rock right by the entrance before the bridge of Aoshima Island, and we were sitting there trying to stay warm while just waiting for the sun to come near or get light a little bit so we could go start taking photos. We decided, let's go take some photos, night shots, so we can stay warm other than sitting by this rock. So we grabbed our camera and started walking out towards the bridge, but because the wind was blowing so hard, we started getting sandblasted, and we're like, okay, no, we're going right. We have to go back to the rock. So we went back to the rock, and pretty much right at the same time, Chris and I were like a rock, ooh, like a rock. And obviously, Coors Light commercial came to our head. We're like, yes. So around 5:45, it started to get light, and so we took off and we walked across the bridge, and we just started snapping long exposure night shots, and we got some awesome ones, which you can see on the blog. Around 6:15 is actually when the sun peaked itself above the horizon, and I got some awesome video, sped it up on the blog, and we got some awesome shots. It was frustrating though. We've complained about this before. A lot of Japanese people don't have spatial awareness. So we are set up right in front of the shrine, good enough distant back that you can see the whole shrine in your shot. And right when the sun comes up, these Japanese tourists come and stand right in front of our cameras and start snapping shots. And we're like, you're not even getting a good photo. You can maybe see one leg of the shrine in your photo, but don't you see us here? So it was just frustrating. We'd been there for, hours taking photos, waiting for the sun to come up. Right when the sun comes up, these people stand right in front of our shots. We're like, oh, it's so frustrating. So we were frustrated. We were like cold. It was so cold. It was so cold that our hands hurt. Physically hurt. And when I was trying to put my camera equipment away, I couldn't do the camera equipment. Can't put my hands in. So we just decided to pack up and go back to camp. We went back to camp. We took a nap. We waited in the tent. We warmed up. Moved the tent back out to the grass because it was beautiful then. And around 11 o'clock, we decided to go back to Aoshima Island. We also wanted to go back to have lunch at a cafe there. So we walked back to Aoshima Island, and on the way back we stopped, and there was a marina there with some sailboats we saw from days before up on the top of the cliff. So we stopped and saw some sailboats, and I took shots for my dad, and it was just awesome as well to look at sailboats. We saw a big helicopter that was over Aoshima Island, and we're like, we wonder what that is. But then we found out later that because it was so windy that day, a surfer in the water got blown out to sea basically, and he got rescued by the helicopter, which was kind of cool. We went and had lunch at this place called Strand Cafe. We had fish and chips. Monse had said go there and have the fish and chips. So we went and had fish and chips. They had internet so we could check emails and weather conditions and whatnot. There's a specialty in Japan. It's chicken with tartar sauce. So I had that chicken with tartar sauce. Very, very good. And then I had my first Corona in Japan. And they serve it with lemon because they don't have limes here. But, I made an exception. After that, we explored the island, went out and there's a lighthouse at the end of Aoshima Island, and played on the reef, and saw the lighthouse and took tons of photos of the waves out there. And we did more handstands, and then kind of that's where our second theme, other than Huguenotsu's, was handstands of now the trip. The theme was handstands. So we did handstands with the lighthouse in the background, and then we sat and in the sun, enjoyed the sun and the sand, and just kind of looked through the sand for small shells, because the sand actually is not like sand particles. They were actually just all a bunch of small shells. So that was exciting. On the way back from the island, we stopped at the store and grabbed some food. We met another English teacher from Australia who teaches in northern Japan. His name was Drew. Talked to him for a while. Every time we see somebody that's a foreigner, we have to talk to him. So, because there's not a lot of foreigners here in Japan. So we got back to camp, and when we were walking back into camp, we saw a camper van, and we were like, oh, someone's at our campground. They better not be loud. They better not have generators. Mansai had explained to us that campers in Japan bring pretty much their whole houses to the outside, and they have their generator set up so they can have their TVs and all their everything. They're just, they bring their houses outside. That's their camping. So we were like, oh no, please don't be like these normal campers. But we didn't meet them yet. So we went and took showers. And then after the showers, I met Yoko and Equal. And Yoko and Equal are from Nagasaki. Equal just got a new job in Tokyo, and he had some time off. So they were driving around Kyushu and camping in their camper van, and they were just super, super cool people. And I was like, what's your name? And he's like, Equal. And he's like, 1 + 1 equal. And I was like, okay, that's going to make you remember it. So they invited us over for dinner that night. So that was awesome. We went over, and it started slow because they're new people and you're just asking the basic questions, but then you find out that they love to sail and they love to travel and they like to camp and they've traveled all over the world, and we're like, oh, instant friends. They had a TV inside their camper van, and the weather was on, and we found out it was going to be super cold. It ended up being 0 degrees Celsius that night. But we had made new friends, and we had great dinner, and it was an awesome day. All right, talk to you tomorrow.